Welcome to You Know Me, a podcast for Brunswick and the Golden Isles. I'm Buddha.
This is the Beard.
And we are actually here in the Brunswick Actors Guild Theater.
Yep, in downtown Brunswick, beautiful downtown Brunswick.
On a lovely Saturday.
Actually, today's May the 4th be with you.
Oh, that's right, May the 4th.
Yeah.
And this is perfect for our guests here today.
Yeah, and then also, celebrating Star Wars, which is an influential film in the movie industry.
Hint, hint, hint. So today we have Pryce and AJ from the Brunswick Film Festival. Is that right? The Golden Isles Film Festival.
Yep.
And this is great. The Beard and I, we've been talking about you guys
for a while.
Getting you on here because we're both really excited about having a film festival here. When we first heard about it way back, I was like, I'm texting my wife, we're having a film festival in Brunswick. So, yeah, we're all can't wait to come and see it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
So, Pryce, let's start with you. Why don't you just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, and then AJ, you can do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you all for having us here today. This is very exciting to be here. So, a little bit about me. I'm a Guatemalan adoptee. I was adopted from Guatemala when I was 15 months old. But I grew up here in the Golden Isles, in St. Simons primarily. And growing up, I saw a lot of films coming to our islands, and it was really fun watching them. And of course, it's nice to meet the actors, but it was the behind the scenes, the BTS, right? It's just watching how they move and having piece and putting it all together to make a film. It's just really, really inspiring to watch. So I've seen some sets. I've been on set for Anchorman 2, X-Men's First Class. There was also a film that came down, I think Imps Films. They had Christmas on the Coast. That was filmed at St. Simons.
I was actually in that one.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's awesome. That was a fun film.
That was a very
So I've helped with a few films in that respect. But essentially, having this film festival here was, I think it's a way to kind of create a catalyst for the film industry here, because if you look on a map, there's nothing between Savannah, Macon, Valdosta. It goes from Savannah to Jacksonville, but there's nothing in between. So we want to kind of be that pinpoint, that new, spot on the map to bring the film industry here to the Golden Isles.
Absolutely. AJ?
Yeah, so I am not a Brunswick native. I'm still working on gaining my native status, but so I lived in Atlanta for about 17 years, and I really got into film and kind of the film industry. Started with, background acting and really seeing, kind of like Pryce is saying, the behind the scenes. I've always been a writer, so I've been writing, screenwriting and doing screenplays since I was in high school. That's kind of my passion, and that's how I got into storytelling. So coming here, I want to say it was exactly a year ago almost that Pryce reached out to me, and the rest was just kind of history. I've attended tons of film festivals, worked with a lot of submissions and creators, directors, but it's really exciting to be on the back end of creating that for this area from scratch, really.
And so, but how did you guys actually hook up? Like, how did you find AJ Pryce?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So, when I started building this idea of the festival, I was still in my last year of the College Coast Georgia, my senior year, and graduation was coming up. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what to do in my life. I don't know where I'm going to go now. At the time I was working at the Lucas Center for Entrepreneurship, and of course, a little shout out to them. They are a huge catalyst for entrepreneurs here in our community and the region. But I was working with them as their marketing student assistant and helping all their social media and such. And one of their mini programs is they have a Lucas Forum, which is a panel for entrepreneurs to come and speak, to get some insight from the community, questions, some feedback on what they're doing, some ideas that they have, and what can they do to kind of grow their business. And AJ showed up at one of these forums, and I can't remember. I don't remember who was speaking at that one.
I don't remember either.
But all I remember is I think I saw her, and her name popped up, I think, on LinkedIn, and I saw that she had been a part of the film industry in some respect, and so I was like, oh, you're AJ. I think I know you. I think we follow each other on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk to you about.
Shout out to LinkedIn.
Yes, LinkedIn.
Great.
But yeah, I said, hey, I would love to talk to you more about the film festival idea. And she was like, a film festival? She was like, I was actually a part of a production, set in Atlanta. And I was like, oh, perfect. So you have experience. That's that's ideal. Wow. So we had lunch, I think, within a week or so at Reed's Apothecary. And we sat down and just talked about our experiences and the idea of what the festival could be. And here we are a year later. We've already got the year and the new festival.
It's kind of hard to believe.
It really is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when did the idea for a film festival pop in your head?
So I am a cinematographer. I have my own business on the side. I do videography, photography for around the community. But again, with the inspiration of watching films growing up, I really wanted to be a part of the film industry, but I didn't know how.
Right.
Of course, I could go to Savannah, I could go to Atlanta, but I feel like why can't we have it here? Exactly. All these films are coming here. There's a reason that the Golden Isles is so special,
right?
And it needs to have this mark on the film industry. So I think that the idea of the film festival was just to bring the filmmakers to kind of be able to tour the Golden Isles, and we also want to invite the community to be educated on how the film industry can better impact economically our area.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that because I mentioned real quick, I did do background on Christmas on the Coast, which was a lot of fun, and then I've done background work on a few movies. I was in Shaft when Black Panther 2 filmed here at Mary Ross Park. I was background on that. I went up to Atlanta for Shaft. I did Jumanji 2. I went into Savannah do a couple of background movies, and then I was also in a commercial, but. That's a different story. It was actually really, really fun. I was dancing for 8 hours. But anyway, but I look at that too because I see all right, background casting Savannah. It's I want to do it, but I got to drive up to Savannah. Mm-hmm. For Shaft, I actually put in for a different background role, but they contacted me to say, hey, would you like to be on background for Shaft? And of course it was supposed to be a featured background, and you see my elbow, but anyway, it's different. Right, that happens, right? And I'm like, why is there no, there needs to be more, the Golden Isles is such a beautiful, ideal location for movies.
Really
yeah. And it's how come we don't have that? We need more of that. So I'm grateful that you are bringing attention to the Golden Isles with this film festival.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Georgia has really come up in the film industry.
Absolutely.
The past, I'd say, about 10 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, this is great because it's going to bring a lot of eyes. Mm-hmm. You see the migration. There've been some movies filmed here. Ben Affleck's movie was filmed right here in Newcastle. They had a couple of scenes where they filmed on Newcastle here, and I've never been in anything on the film. On film, on stage, it's a different story. But right. I've never been. I have a friend of mine who has a production company up in South Carolina, and he's asked me a number of times to be in commercials or be in videos, and it's always during the week. I'm like, man, I'm working. I can't. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I can't do that. But it's great because I've seen the business. I've done some writing of my own. And I've talked to people in Savannah, and I know for a while Savannah had hired a producer from Hollywood to help develop the business of filmmaking in Georgia. So it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming, and it's great. I think this is a great spot. You think of some of the areas, like the Lighthouse, Driftwood Beach, are so cinematic.
Yeah.
There are a lot of production-ready locations here.
Look at The Walking Dead. They filmed a couple episodes at Driftwood Beach, and just the production, the visuals of it. You can't believe this actually got filmed on Jekyll or Driftwood Beach. It's such a beautiful area.
That's great. So, what have been some of the obstacles you've had to overcome? This is a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. I can go first. So I think one of the biggest obstacles is a lot of people's relationships with films are so varied, right? So in Atlanta, it's kind of got that nickname ATL Wood. The indie scene is so it's so full because it's full of people who have the resources and the means to just kind of go out and do it. But here, I think a lot of people are still coming around to the idea that film is more than just those theatrical releases that we see. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest obstacle for me, specifically my role with programming, is constantly having to kind of pivot to educate the audience. We have the business community, which I think uniquely stands to benefit from, the growth of the industry here. Yeah. But then there's also the community, right? Getting them excited about it. I think post-COVID, it's really been hard people aren't necessarily packing out movie theaters, right? So not only reintroducing the community to an appreciation for film, but then being able to kind of convert them to fans of independent film. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the biggest undertaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because independent filmmaking is so important, so important for Georgia, and it's one of the top leading industries, the film industry in the state of Georgia. So it definitely is a part of that, educating the community on how important that can be. Like I said earlier, it's the economic development that's really going to hit home run. Right. But of course we need to, it's going to take time for us to get that out there. But that's where it needs to go.
I want to shout out to Lori James with McIntosh County as well. She's their film liaison, and she was saying, during all the strikes and things that we saw in the industry, and at the end of last year, I think there's news of some potential union strikes and stuff happening now, but the independent film industry is not impacted by a lot of those things. So economically, it's important to kind of keep those opportunities for folks open. Right. But also just, not losing the art of storytelling in, capitalism's going to do its thing. But I think being able to show people that, there are stories to tell, there are ways to share those stories. You don't have to necessarily be in Hollywood. We want to not only create people that are fans of film, but we want to further convert them to filmmakers. Really, we want to be able to see more stories created here.
Yeah. Like I have my friend Brandon. He makes independent films, and for something like this, I think this would be great. For him, local film festival. I'm not sure if he has anything in the working or anything in the pipeline, but to show
give us a call, Brandon.
Yeah. He's an excellent person, excellent director, excellent actor. He's done background also, so he understands the whole process. But for someone that's a local, lives in the area, and they want to get into film, this is something great. You can actually show off your film locally.
Exactly.
So how's the reception been since you've that you're going to have a film festival? What has the reception been like with businesses, just locals? Have you gotten any messages about they're excited about it, or like how's the reception been?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had 3 pop-up events last year. We had 250 attendees across all 3 of those. That's good. And we had 5 vendors on top of that, and so it was, since the response has been really good. This year especially, we've had we launched our film society, the Golden Owls Film Society, this year, and that's more of our community component to kind of educate, have workshop panels and such. And we've had a lot of good response on people interested on having a film festival, because it's a celebration of independent filmmaking, and it's not just about the filmmakers. We have screenwriters, we have the directors, we have the actors. They're all essential elements of the film. So it's really special to see that grow, and the response has just been so amazing. And people are like, we want tickets, we want now, we want to see more of it. We're excited for it to come here.
I think curiosity has been, if I had to use one word to summarize the response, it's been curiosity, and to me that spark is more than enough. Yeah. Every time we do something for the first time, people are like, "This is your first time doing it," so I think that's really validating for us. It does get hard because we have really high standards, but it's a work in progress. But I think people are curious, they're interested, and we just have to keep showing up and kind of breaking down that wall a little bit.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, for some people, because my house is a movie place, and so when we heard about it, I think you told me about it. Mm-hmm.
Yay, word of mouth.
And I'm like texting my wife, there's going to be a film festival. So we're excited. We went to your first pop-up, and we loved it. The shorts that were there were just fantastic, all of them. And we had a good time, and I think there was a woman with the popcorn, and the popcorn was really, really good. And so it was just a lot of fun. And I got to see some familiar faces. People I've done shows with at the Island Players and things like that. So there is a big theater group in this area, and that translates. So it's exciting to see. And one of the questions I had was, because you brought up the strikes that happened with the screenwriters, did that affect you guys in any way, shape, or form? Did it delay your dates, or did it kind of have any kind of impact on what you guys are planning on doing?
I don't think it did, and I say that because when we launched the idea of the film festival, when we had our third pop event around October, we showed a theatrical. It was an independent film, but it was theatrically released after then. The name started really hitting into the community, and around that time, I think it was October, November, the SAG-AFTRA ended. So this year, with the new year, once we launched the dates for the festival this year, I think the interest definitely peaked up. So this past weekend, I also attended the Atlanta Film Festival, met with a lot of producers, actors, screenwriters, and filmmakers. And I was telling them about, what we're doing in the coast, and they said, "You're in Brunswick." I'm like, "You know where we are?" I said, "Yes. We've been wanting to go down there for a long time." I'm like, "Okay, well, great. Well, we're doing it."
Great, come on down.
Come on down.
Exactly. So, it's really exciting that people even outside of this community are they want to come here, and that we're really excited to create that platform for them to showcase their work.
I'm still a part of a lot of screenwriting communities and stuff like that online, and I want to say I don't think that the strike affected the independent film scene directly, but I do think it raised a lot of questions, for a lot of creators around how things would be, kind of new standards. We've got new technology, things like generative AI and all those kinds of questions. So I think from what I saw, it really just kind of lit a fire under a lot of independent creators to keep going in their craft and kind of create something that could stand the test of time with all the changes going on.
Now, just for people listening that might listen to this, what is the threshold for being considered an independent filmmaker?
Oh, this is a fun question because I really think the first thing I would consider is budget.
Right.
That's kind of the initial criterion. So I want to say anything. Is it like 100,000, 10,000?
Yeah.
Something that most indies are not reaching that threshold at all. But really, the budget for the film and the funding sources, as well as kind of how it's promoted. As well.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but I just wanted to, because I know some people are like, they think of independent, they do think of budget, but I just want to know if there was any other criteria that might fall under independent.
I think another one would be who owns the production, right? Like if it's a major studio, sometimes people see independent films and festivals that have celebrity actors, and they're like, that's not independent.
Yeah.
But it is, right? Because the people that are creating that above the line and putting it together, if they're not backed by a major, well-known studio, then that would also qualify.
Okay. So that's why sometimes you see at the film festivals, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out whatever, Al Pacino has a 2 lines in a movie, but it's still considered independent.
Yep.
Right? Wow, that's interesting.
It
Thank
is.
you.
So let's get into this festival. What are we expecting to see here without giving away anything, because we all want to be surprised? But is this? Are we going to have some full-length movies, shorts?
Absolutely.
What are we doing?
So, I'm I'm the director of programming. I should probably speak on this. So we will definitely have both shorts and feature-length films. I think we got tons of great responses to the shorts, and people really like that. It's great with the attention spans. So we're looking at screening both feature-length and shorts, as well as, some panels and educational opportunities. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we got from the community was that people want to engage with the creators. They want to, if someone made the film, they want to ask their questions directly to that person. So creating those opportunities are just a few of our top priorities.
What are the genres that you are really kind of focusing on, or you kind of give us anything and everything.
So we have a really exciting genre that we've kind of opened up submissions to. Since we're having the festival in October, we are currently open for horror shorts, a perfect ideal setting for that. I won't give away the venue of where we're having it. We're really excited for the venue for the horror short screening, but it's gonna have its own special screening time, and there's a specific location that we're really excited about. And we're gonna go all out, have a red carpet.
Midnight showings.
Possibly.
A little late, yeah.
A little late, yeah.
A little late, a little creepy. Yeah.
I like it. I'm a big horror movie fan, so I'm excited, especially like those independent horror movies. They're just the way that the vision on those independent horror movies, and even the low budget of it just makes it even more creepy, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but atmospheric, I guess. Yeah. So.
I think you have to independently, when you're doing horror, you really have to tap into like the human psyche and get creative on like what are the things that actually inspire fear more than just the big monster,
right?
And the CGI.
Gore.
Yeah.
I was listening to actually Conan O'Brien, and I think he was Peele? No, Key and Peele. Who's Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
Had a brain fart there. Excuse me. Shout out to Jordan Peele. They were talking about horror movies, and Conan O'Brien said it's not the gore or the monster. Sometimes it's just. He said he watched. I think it was the Witch, and he said the opening scene where it was just the forest. And he says they said that one scene creeped him out.
I just got chills.
Because it was just, you don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's just there's just a forest. And he said that was the most creepiest and human psyche that scared him was you don't know what's in there. Yeah. And he said that was the most fascinating part about the horror movie.
Thing, yeah. I mean, I, like him, love the horror. I like movies.
Yeah.
But we did a little bit of a binge watch of the Hell House series.
Oh, wow.
There's 3. They're independent, I would say. It's kind of like a quote-unquote found footage, but it's not the shaky camera kind of stuff. There's not a lot of blood and guts, but it gets you so terrified. How their shots, and then the things that you don't see. Because then that's what's the scary things. Then let your mind wander a little bit and like, oh my God, what the heck is going on here? But the Hell House series is about a hotel upstate New York called the Abaddon Hotel. Abaddon is supposed to be the demon that guards the gates of hell. And these people come from New York, young people, they do like haunted house things. They took over the Abaddon to do a haunted house, and it went bad. And then they had a part 2 and a part 3, and then they had an origin. And they did a really good job with it. It's very independent. I'm sure it's higher up in the budget ways because of how it was shot and where it was shot, and the fact that they did 3 or 4 of them. But it's that thing. It doesn't have to be all the blood and
guts, blood and guts and stuff like that.
But then you can watch. I think it was Killer Turkey from Thanksgiving.
Oh yes.
So we span the genre, but it's a lot of fun, and that's cool that you're gonna have a horror.
Yeah.
Now
we do have other genres too,
right.
But that one is just kind of its standalone event.
Yeah. So choosing venues, have you chosen out all the venues, or what is the challenge, I should say, of trying to seek out venues, speaking with the venue partners? How's that work? Is that a challenge? Was it pretty easy?
Sure.
So
I think firstly, I think it's just space. There's not a lot of ideal spaces to have people to sit in front of a screen. Of course, we have the Ritz Theater, we have Soglo, Brunswick Theaters, which are perfect venues for screenings. Of course, already secured for the festival. Yes. But of course, there's with our first year being in downtown, there's a lot of others. We had a Queen and Grant, we have the old City Hall, so we're trying to find other venues right now that would be willing to screen, but also host a good crowd to watch these films.
So as the Golden Isles Film Festival, we think it's important too to really encompass the Golden Isles, right? That's like Brunswick, St. Simons, Jekyll Island. And so for our first run, we kind of wanted to do an homage to like downtown Brunswick. And I think when you're attending a festival, you really want it to be like a succinct experience. So trying to, you know, be exclusively downtown and partner with venues and locations exclusively downtown has been somewhat limiting, but it's also been great. And, you know, people are very willing to partner. People are really excited about it. So it's been easy, but I think difficult just like logistically.
Yeah. Now, are you trying to keep everything within walking distance?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
We want it to be walkable because we want it to be accessible.
Right.
But we also really want to you know, highlight some of the local businesses as well and allow this thriving downtown community, which looked totally different just like 8 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
We want to allow that to be the backdrop and encourage people to not only engage with the festival, but the local businesses that are just along the way as well.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
What are some of the criteria about getting accepted into the festival? Is there some kind of criteria? If there's like some local people, like two filmmakers, they might be a little bit apprehensive because, this is a film festival. I can't be in a film festival.
Yeah.
Is there a criteria? Are you looking for local, or is it, what are you looking for when it comes to these movies?
Yeah, so we are currently open for submissions on Film Freeway. Our criteria is pretty much open right now, but with it being our first year, we want to welcome anyone and everyone. Of course, throughout the years, we'll of course find our niche. What the community we want to see or will want to see. But I think that's the submissions will really show once we start getting these more and more submitted.
Yeah.
Right now we've had a lot of comedy submissions.
One,
comedy seems to be a big run, which of course the community loves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess advice to any local, because we do have a local submission process as well. Don't be afraid. Like, you have to start, and it's a craft. It's a form of art. So I've talked to a lot of different creators who've done submissions a few times before they might have been accepted to a festival. But a good festival will give you like feedback as needed and really help you kind of grow in your journey in that way. So if you have a good story, I think story is the first thing I look for. I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 25 minutes or an hour and a half. I'm looking for story first. And then there are other elements that play a factor. So in the independent space, we try not to be too, hard about certain things that are like obvious budgetary constraints.
Right.
But there are small things too that folks can do to really increase the quality. Like if you've got a great story and great visuals, but the sound is really bad, that's going to kind of break that fourth wall and ruin the experience. But if there's anyone locally that's even thinking about it, just submit, just try it, give it a shot.
Absolutely. And we also are very proud to have, we do have discounts for Georgia-made films and student-made films. So if any students in our community or in the state have a film that they want to submit, we'll be happy to discount their submission fee for them.
Now, do you guys watch all the films that get submitted? How's that work?
Yes.
Yes.
We watch all the films. We're really excited about, as we grow, standing up like a screening committee of volunteers. But I think it's important that we watch everything. One, it's fair, right?
Right. Yeah.
But for me also, as an indie film nerd, I'm like, I get to see everything, even if it doesn't get programmed. So, yeah.
Are you going to have awards?
Yes. We the day two at the night, we're gonna have a gala, a catered gala with the 5 Diamond.
Yes,
chef.
our chef is 5 Diamonds certified. There's some other like certification. I'm not like big,
I don't know that industry.
Michelin
well,
star.
Yes, I think it is actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
James Beard.
Shout out to Centauria Axon. She is the chef that we're looking to partner with for our dinner gala, but that will be a dinner gala and screening. So we'll actually have our one of our feature films showed at the gala, and then we'll do our award ceremony afterward.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that'll of course
Red
will
carpet.
include that'll include the red carpet. We'll have their logos and of course some of the businesses put on there. When everyone will get a chance to walk on the red carpet, take some pictures, and be at the official first Golden Mouse Film Festival.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for this.
This is going to be really great. This
is.
is great for the community. This is something that we really needed.
Yeah, it does. It's especially for someone like me, even like frankly, like a I've always been an aspiring actor. Like I do stage work, and background. But
You're an actor. You're not aspiring.
Oh, I appreciate it. But it's like you mentioned, like we need more focus here on the Golden Isles, and hopefully this will open up for more people that are aspiring to be actors or want to get in the film industry, and they're right now, I wouldn't say cut off. I don't know what the word, or I guess the glass ceiling maybe of being here and not in Savannah or Atlanta. And that being said, what do you think about that movie studio that's going to open up in Camden? Did you hear about that?
Big Mental Studios.
Yeah.
So we are actually connected with them right now. We were hoping that we can get them up for the festival or maybe through one of our society events to kind of talk about their experiences and what they're bringing to Camden. If I understand correctly, I think they're responsible for some of the animation films like Despicable Me and some of those other big franchises there.
Yeah, that's what I was reading when I read that newspaper article, and I was very excited when I saw that they're going to open up or build the movie studio down there.
Yeah. It really is a perfect time. I think timing is everything. You guys are familiar with the show, what is it called? It always escapes me. It's the show where people have to like compete to like stay alive for the money. It was the Netflix. Oh my gosh.
Not Survivor.
No, it's it was originally created in
Squid Games.
Yes,
Squid Games.
Oh, love it.
It was right there. Squid Games, the script for it was actually written almost a decade before it was produced, and so I think it just speaks to timing, right, and storytelling. So, kind of on the note of those barriers to entry that you mentioned, a lot of stuff is shot here, but I think above the line, things that are getting greenlit, the scripts that are being written. The people who are above the line are the ones who are responsible for deciding which stories get told. Yeah. And so we have to have we have to inspire more creators to tell stories here so they can have some control over the narrative, right? Like there's a rich history and past, present in this area. So that's the part we're most excited about.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
This is going to be fantastic. So with all this work, and I think we kind of touched on it before, there's kind of some support groups, some like writing groups. Is that going on now, or is that something that's being developed in the future?
So I will say it's in development. We did release our initial program this year. We spent, I don't know how many hours on strategic planning, but so we have our 3 pillars: the Golden Isles Film Festival, which is specifically targeting, the economic development, Film Society, which is our community component, and then we also are launching next year an educational component. I won't say too many details about it right now, but we talked about folks who are actors, folks who might be cinematographers, people who are writers, and so each of those individuals is only one part of a really big puzzle that it takes to actually create a film. So. For some folks who feel like maybe they're just too small or they just have an individual part, we really want to bring them together and collectively, take them through the process of filmmaking, from story to script to casting to location scouting, production, and even screening and distribution. So there's just a lot of, I think, knowledge that is out there, but maybe not as streamlined that we want to be able to bring to folks.
Yeah, and you make an interesting point with that, because like even when we started this podcast, it was like it's out there, but it was very hard to like streamline it, find it, and it was just eventually we're like, well, I'll just buy the stuff and see what happens. So that's great aspect of that if somebody's an aspiring director, screenwriter, like they have some kind of resource locally to get that from.
I think everyone in that space needs to be maybe not an expert, but at least aware of the whole picture,
right?
What it takes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I think some people will say you need to move to LA, or and it's like not necessarily.
Right.
Not necessarily.
And you actually when I'm with a casting agency in Savannah, and she's like, you have an interesting look, but the problem is it's a unique look, and to be honest with you, you're not going to get anything here. But if you were in New York, Miami, LA, you might have a better chance. And I'm like, that's kind of frustrating, because like, well, I don't want to go to right? I don't want like, first of all, I work a regular job, right? I just can't like fly off somewhere and like hopefully something's going to happen, right? So I like that because it's, trying to draw something here and giving people the opportunity to hopefully be seen. Even just screenwriters, directors, grips, lighting, sound, right? Just to be seen here. That's very important, especially for someone like me, because I'm a big fan of the Golden Isles, big fan of Brunswick, and I would love to see more stuff happen here. So,
hence the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. That's the whole reason we started this podcast. So and that's probably the same reason why you guys wanted to do the film festival.
Yeah, if no one's doing it, sometimes you just have to
just do it,
create it yourself.
Yeah.
So in mainstream movies, when you talk about the big productions, you have like the Marvel universe and Star Wars universe and Mission Impossible and all these things. And do you feel that the creativity is really coming from the independent films? Do you feel like sometimes some of these mainstream movies, these places are kind of losing out on the creativity side and kind of rehashing some things that you see some remakes?
I think remakes are inevitable. Like, there's only so many stories in life, right? Like, there's nothing new under the sun. But I personally, I know for a fact that Hollywood is influenced by the indie community. I mean, if you look at some of the larger festivals like Cannes and even things that happen on Austin, there's the AFM that happens in California. Like, people specifically develop these so that they can eventually like maybe sell the story or something like that. So I think 9 times out of 10, there's some indie thing that someone is like trying to purchase or kind of get access to, and then elevate the story or expand it with, a larger budget.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of see that with like Blumhouse, right? And was it A24, right? Taking some of these horror movies, and then I mean, they're doing so well with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the, I can't think of what they're called. What is MGM? Amazon Studios? Is that the name of the
streaming service?
The streaming
MGM
service?
Plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would really love to get them partnered with us because they had, there's a film that they just released that's shown on Amazon Prime. It's called The Idea of You. It's based on a novel.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. That film, it has Anne Hathaway. There's...
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's really interesting about that film is that they filmed a scene that had Coachella a part of it. But what was really cool is that they didn't actually go to Coachella to film it. They filmed it at the Atlanta Speedway. And they made it look like Coachella.
Right.
But it's stories like that I really love to get some these services to partner here with us, and that way we could offer pre-release screenings of these films, and it's part of the independent film industry too. So we want to be able to
any
offer
MGM executives, if you're listening,
please, yes, we're ready for you.
Yeah, come on down.
You can find us at Me, the podcast on Instagram, and Golden Isles Film Festival Instagram. Just reach on out. It's great because there's a lot of independent, there's a lot of unique ideas, and you'll see that sometimes you'll see like story inspired by the short film, or comes from this book, and it's good to see that creativity coming out, because it's really hard sometimes to kind of see that. And I've seen people joke about Harry Potter is Star Wars, but in the wizarding world.
I totally agree. I can't wait to talk about that with our education pillar next year.
But it's just hilarious. I think there's a comedian, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about it. I was like, oh my God, you're right. This is crazy. But it's good to see. And I was a part of when we lived up near Savannah, a meetup group. I don't know if they even still have that anymore.
I think they do.
But it was a screenwriting group. And the person who ran it, she was a student, or she graduated from SCAD, and we would have to write 10 pages every week, and then we'd all read it. And the person who wrote it would hand it out, and it's like, you read this person, you that person, you critique it, and go back and you write 10 more. And it's really interesting because I'd never done anything like that before, ever. I had to sit down and actually kind of come up with a story and write a story, and the process was scary.
Yeah.
But once you start doing it and you're getting these people's feedback, and of course, no one's going to say this is crap. You always have to say something nice, but there's always something that you can always improve on. And so it was really good. It was a really good experience, and with SCAD being up, literally taking over Savannah, literally, it's just been booming. So are you getting a lot of stuff from the students from SCAD? They want to come down here and be part of this?
Yeah, we're part of the Coastal Entertainment Alliance. We also connected with SWIFT, which is Savannah
Women in Film and Television.
Thank you. Yes. And we have we connected with some SCAD students that they want to be a part of other film festivals. But when we connected with them, that they want to submit, and we have had a few submissions from them, and of course also from Atlanta as well, which I'm really excited about. We're also connected with Georgia Entertainment, and that's Atlanta. That's a big statewide. They're all over the film industry, every industry for entertainment they're for. So yeah, we hope to have more submissions from Jacksonville people and SCAD, and because they. Just like they have their film festivals there, we want to have them experience what it's like to have a setting like this in the backdrop where they could come and film here, and set their landmark here.
One thing you mentioned about I can't stop thinking about how terrifying it is to be in a writer's workshop, and I think a lot of people they're afraid of being perceived, because then it's like you have to take that feedback, but I just want to throw this out there. If you are worried about creativity, just start with log lines. I have a note in my phone with probably 60 log lines, things I may never develop into a script, but there's always somewhere to start.
Now, you mentioned during the film festival, are you going to have workshops, or are you going to have panels where people are going to ask questions? So you will have stuff like that.
Yes, we're trying to get a few producers down here from some of the studios to talk about what it's like to get into the distribution of filmmaking. Also, we'll have the filmmakers, of course. We want them to have a chance to talk about their films, what kind of sparked that idea to film them, and screenwriters. So we'll have a different.
So we also have, because my daughter is big into, she does all the sound board and mics for the theater. So will you have people that deal with lighting, sound? Will you have any of those? Or thinking about it, or maybe I just put it in your head, I don't know. For panels, for people that may not be interested in the acting, the directing, but they have a passion for sound, lighting, grip, all that other stuff that actually is very important to filmmaking.
Absolutely, yeah. If we can definitely get those, if we can get some people that have had experiences with that, absolutely.
I think, so, we talked about kind of separating the pillars too, because if you look at the massive pot of everything that goes into film, there's a lot. There's a lot. And again, I'm trying not to give away too many secrets, because we really do want to be able to kind of make this a surprise, but the educational component that I spoke on is really kind of the hub for that. So having not only panels, but forums. We want to offer table reads for screenwriters, being able to hear, how does your dialogue sound? Is it natural? And then kind of go into those specialties, like you mentioned, like sound, lighting. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to not talk about it.
No spoiler.
You can mention the names.
Okay, so our third pillar is called the Golden Isles Film Academy.
Okay.
And so that will be not only an actual educational program, but also some individual events.
Wow.
And one thing we want to do is we're hoping to partner with the Golden Isles, I always forget, College of Career Academy, GICA.
Yeah, GICA.
And, be able to go on location for those specific parts of the curriculum to kind of deep dive, and we want to work with experts in those areas. We don't know everything, but we really view ourselves as that kind of catalyst and glue between all those different pieces.
Yeah, I know GICA has an excellent graphic arts program. They have an audio visual program also. So that, and I know they have you. I don't know if you've been there or not, but they do have a little studio with a green room.
Yes, yeah. I went there when I was in high school, and Kevin Pullen was the film professor there, and it was such a fun experience because, like, you got to. He showed us how to write a script. We had to find a story online, create a script out of it, and then we got to broadcast it, and we would rotate around the studio from the sound design to filming. It was just fascinating.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize it's not just the actors, in front of the camera or the director. I mean, you've done background, I've done background, and like take for example the scene in Black Panther 2 where they filmed here. It was 4 days, 4 days, and that literally, I think it was like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
So there's a lot that goes on to it.
It's interesting because we'll watch a lot of behind the scenes things, and we found something on, I think it was on Shudder or it was on Amazon, but it was about movies that are cursed.
Cursed films.
But the first one they talked about was Wizard of Oz, and it really wasn't cursed. It was filmed at a time when they're trying to be with these special effects. The technology wasn't quite there, nor was the safety standards.
Yes.
And that was the big thing. They talked about how the Wicked Witch got burned. She had third-degree burns on her hands when she did that disappearing thing in Munchkinland, and the flames come up. Well, the guy hit the button too soon, and she got burns on her face, and she got third-degree burns on her hands because her costume and her broom all caught on fire.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, it's not cursed. But they talked about some of the other directors, and I forget who they're talking about. It wasn't specifically Wizard of Oz they were doing it, but it was a director that did. I think it was Stanley Kubrick. 127 takes on one scene.
Oh wow.
I believe
during
that
Rosemary's Baby.
Was it Rosemary's Baby? Because I know The Shining. He also.
That's what it was. It was
The
The Shining.
Shining.
Mm-hmm.
It was The Shining.
Yeah.
127 takes on the scene with her and the baseball bat.
Yeah.
With Shelley Duvall and the baseball bat. It's like 127 takes. That's a lot. And people don't realize that.
They don't.
You're really, and not making the Wizard of Oz reference on purpose, but you're pulling the curtain open a little bit.
I see what you did
You see
there.
what segue right into that.
to people to understand what it takes, because a lot of people pay their $11 to sit down in the GTX theater and watch a movie that they really enjoy. But when you understand the work it takes to get to that point, it's really incredible. And the people behind it, it's not just a director and actors. There is a team of people. No one stays and watches the credits at the end of the movie.
I do.
I do.
But we do. I do too.
I do too. Yeah.
We do the same thing.
I'm like, oh, who wrote this?
Yeah. Yeah. I look for see who's the casting background.
Really?
Yeah. See who did the background casting or who's the main casting. I mean, because if you think about it, right? If you want to get into acting, you got to know who casted the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's something else. What are your thoughts about, because this is becoming a topic and was part of the reason why there was a strike, the whole thing about AI in movies, and we're seeing more of these movies that are basically, the entire movie is almost filmed in a green room and it's all CGI background. Where do you guys stand with something like that? For me, I'll tell you my opinion. I like actors, I like a set or a location, and then if you have to add some kind of CGI or something like that, that's the kind of those are the kind of movies I like to watch. But where do you guys stand with all that's going on right now, and how do you feel about? Because is that part of your criteria when you're looking at some of these things to show at the festival?
I will say, when you're watching these independent films, it can get a little hard to defer what the difference is between the AI and real filmmaking, because of course AI is creating these films from scratch and filmmakers are just using it and just hey, here's my film, but we don't know that. I think another way, a benefit for AI for that film industry is that VR films are a little bit new. I don't know if you know about VR films, but AI can create these VR films too, where you can film an actor can go on set and film it, but you could have a small piece, and AI will translate it as a full 360 scope. That's what creates a VR film. And then so you can go in the setting and watch a film and actually be inside of it instead of you're just watching on a screen. You can see it around them walking around you, or if see if like you're like a little statue. People are walking around, picking you up, placing you somewhere else. It's fascinating to watch that. So AI, I mean, it's going to evolve with the film industry as it grows. But I think just like creators when they write the films, they film it. I think they'll get more creative with it, and CGI, of course, will evolve with that as well. Yeah.
I agree. As fans of innovation and like nerds, I think that it's really fascinating. But I look at technology of any sort as a tool, like just like any other tool. Does that mean it can be misappropriated? Sure, right? But when we're looking at the festival submissions, I think the biggest thing, like I said, is really the story, because we want people to feel captivated. We want them to feel connected and have an experience versus just zoning out and watch. It's not like YouTube, you know what I mean? So I don't know that right now it's become a major factor, but I will say that there's no amount of special effects or sound design or anything that can outperform a bad story. So I think if we keep that as our baseline, it'll help us stay grounded in that decision making.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting with AI because I'm I remember and when I was on Jumanji and Black Panther 2, I did go in that 360 camera thing that they talk about, for that you hear some background actors talking about, where you just, and they're like, oh, it's just so we can enhance your, on screen, we can get a better, clearer picture. So, but yeah, I don't, AI it's interesting technology, but you're right, technology evolves. And it's actually interesting with CGI, because sometimes you look at movies like, take for instance, 1979 Alien, right? You look at that, and most of it was practical effects, right? And then now you look at some movie with CGI, and you're like, that 1979 movie looked much better than the movies that are coming out now.
I'm not going to pretend like I don't love. I mean, the MCU is full of special effects. I'm a big Star Wars fan. We are a Star Wars household. So there's its place. But I think that, independently, practical effects are. I'm all about the craft and the skills, and I think that there's a special place for that as well. I don't think it'll ever go away. And as long as independent filmmakers have to stay scrappy, I think there will always be a place for practical effects. So.
Absolutely. It's such an art form that it's amazing to watch when they have some of these effects, and someone had to take the time to create that. It's really a great piece of work of art, whether it's something on the face or a whole monster like the alien.
Yeah.
Can I give a quick shout out to theatrical makeup artists? I don't think they get enough love. I'm also a big Foley nerd. I have so many videos saved on my phone of like people creating, additional sound and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
And that's kind of like why I asked about the other panels. Like, because you do have people that want to be makeup artists,
costume designers,
costumes, set builders. All that is important part of the filmmaking. Now, you did drop the little spoiler about your academy. As you grow, do you see, or I'm not sure what your strategic future plan is, your 5, 10, 15-year plan, but do you see a point where you'll be able to, let's say I wrote a screenplay, and find a director, but I have no money. And like, do you see a point where you might be able to have, I'm not sure, scholarships, sponsors, financial aid to someone that may want to try to make a movie in the future?
Price?
Is that a tough question? I'm sorry.
No, it was a good question.
It's a good question. I mean, of course we're still starting out, so that might be something for something to put on the table.
I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think resources are important. We've really been trying to capitalize on. We're really great at building relationships, and so part of that ability to network and have a network is connecting people with the resources. So even if we don't have that capability, I think being able to connect folks with like funding sources and again, just provide the knowledge so they can make the decisions. But I think maybe in the future it might be something that we can either help with or continue to just connect folks with those resources.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too. Like you know, I know I'm going back to our podcast thing, but that's the one thing that I felt kind of hard. Like there was no real resources, you know, connecting with, okay, what kind of mics do I need? What do I need? And it's like, oh, I had to go on YouTube, and I know Frank, you were reading articles and stuff like that. And so I know, like, for someone that wants to start off as a screenwriter, they wrote this screenplay, but now they're like, what do I do with it now?
How do we market it? You know, the elevator pitch.
Yes. Pitching and distribution are so important.
It's a thing, and like just Kickstarter. How do you get on Kickstarter? What do you need? What information do you need to start a Kickstarter account? Because that's where your crowdfunding comes from for a lot of these independent films. And Kickstarter can kind of guide you, but if you have a person that's well known to know how to navigate Kickstarter, it'd be a good way to tutor someone into like, you've made your script. This is how you're going to fund it. But yeah, there's a whole lot to do after.
Yeah, that's the part, right? It's like the post-production to distribution, I think, is the part that gets the least amount of attention. And so that's the part where a lot of independent filmmakers are like scratching their heads, like, what do I do now? So we really hope to help with that through our academy.
And that's what I was going to say also with the film festival itself, right? Because it's someplace that now someone can showcase their hard work on a screen, and to, you know, to people they never met before. You know, one question we always like to ask. I know you're native. You've been here, what, 2 years?
2 years.
2 years,
two
right?
and a half, yeah.
And one question that me and Frank like to ask is, you know, and you got your set up your venues and stuff down here, but what would you like to see here in downtown, specifically in the downtown, that can help it grow? What would be one thing that you would like to see down here? I mean, I know we got the film festival, right? That's a very important part. But
I personally, my end goal whether it be with the festival or cinematography, I want to somehow incorporate a film studio.
Nice.
And I really would love to see that, because, you know, you could have a lot of films come here, you know, at a film festival, and they can still stay here instead of them coming and, you know, filming for a couple scenes and then going back home to Atlanta or something. They can stay right here, keep it all right here. That would be my say. In downtown, I think would be, you know, a pretty neat, groovy spot to have something like that here.
That would be, yeah.
This is a tough one for me. I think I'm still learning what we do and don't have. So I think I'm going to abstain from answering. I don't want to upset anyone who's like, I do that or I have that.
But,
yeah.
No, that's okay.
That's fine. But this is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, so people know what is around and what's going on. I think when we interviewed Jason at Maddox, he kind of touched on some of this stuff. It's when they started doing First Friday, there was like 500 people. And last night there must have been 10,000. I mean, we could barely find a parking spot. But people are learning about it. And this is another one of those vehicles of hopefully for people to learn about what are interesting things going on here in Brunswick, Jekyll, St. Simons. And so if there's something...
Is it too late to change my answer?
No,
Go
not
ahead.
at all. Go ahead.
If someone has the resources to bring a drive-in back to Brunswick, I think that would be really cool.
that would be really cool.
Well, there is one in Jessup.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love it. But
It's not Golden Isles.
It's not the
No,
Golden
no,
Isles,
no.
right? That's something that I've always enjoyed. I've been to a ton of drive-ins in Atlanta. I've been to a few at Jessup. And so just that experience, again, there's so many different ways you can enjoy film. And in the age of streaming, I think more opportunities to enjoy things together and bring the community element back into
I
it.
totally agree.
Drive-in is so much fun.
Yeah, it's great.
I miss going to the drive-in.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird things, like the mall. You know, like the mall and drive-ins.
Oh my
they were
gosh.
so big and popular, and then they just kind of fell off. But in some spots, they still thrive.
Yeah.
There's a drive-in drive-in in Beaufort, South Carolina that we used to go to a lot. There was always a double feature.
Beautiful out there.
And it was like $8
Yeah.
per person. And even the popcorn was even cheaper. It just made sense to go out there and each bay was kind of pointed up a little bit so you didn't really see the car in front of you.
Right.
And you just tune your radio station to something that they're broadcasting. I remember when you had to put the speaker hanging on the side of the car. We saw, my mom and my grandma took me and my sister to see Creature of the Black Lagoon at a drive-in somewhere up in Massachusetts. I can't remember where, but I remember being in the back seat of our Buick station wagon and watching that in our PJs, and it was so much fun. And then come down here, and we haven't been over to the Jekyll. Jessup one yet, but
That would be a good place.
Like Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
That's nice.
but there's some space here.
Yeah.
There's Jekyll, or a little bit on the west side of 95.
Yeah.
I know we used to have one, and I want to say the building probably stood until about maybe the 60s. It's now our county correctional facility, but but you do need a lot of land, right? You need a lot of space.
You do need a lot of space.
And then, of course, like you said, the kind of tiered.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like
structure.
what you guys are running into, right? With the venues, right? You got the Ritz, you got here the Brunswick Actors Theater, like trying to find that space to show the movies. One thing that I would, we talk about downtown, and I mentioned a music venue would be nice. You do have the Hinge at the Blue Door. But one thing I've always they're renovating it, but the old City Drugs, like it's kind of like across the street that, right by Richland Rum. I mean, that would be a cool place to have one of those midnight movie places, like what is it, like midnight showing places where like you get off at midnight or it's midnight and you want to go see a scary movie at midnight and you pay like what, $5 and you go into a theater and watch one of those scary movie showings at midnight.
Absolutely. I will say there is a building, or I think it's across from where it's the Ritz Theater, Subway. It used to be the old antique shop.
Yeah, that's one. We've talked about that with Jason, where I mentioned like that would be a good music venue, even probably good.
I was thinking even like a theater. Imagine downtown Brunswick, like you're going to shopping, you get food, and then go and see a movie, right? And you get different screens to see something like that. But
yeah. If anybody want to loan us $1 million,
please,
well, $1.1 million to buy the building, please hit us up. Kickstarter.
Let's get that
There's another film crowdfunding site. I can't think of the name now. But those are all the pieces that, again, like we hope to connect for folks, because a lot of this information is free, and like I don't think we need more gatekeeping. Like I think we need people just putting it out there and then letting the craft speak for itself. Like the information is the information, but having all of it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to have a great project.
Right. Now, I know we're wrapping up here in a little bit, but the submission-wise, where's the furthest place that you've gotten a submission from?
Maui, yeah.
Is it the
we had
furthest?
that was the furthest place.
Wow.
Yeah, and a really cool fun fact about that film. That was what was the name of that film?
My partner.
Thank you. It was filmed in Maui, and in a city where when they filmed at the time, it was very historical. They had it was almost like a relic there. They had the Hawaiian fires on that city.
Yeah. That's right.
And all of that is now gone. Everything that they filmed there is gone, which made that film. Like that was the last record of that city,
so
and the places that they had there.
It's almost like a preservation.
It is,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they can actually look back at that film if they want to rebuild. Exactly. Wow.
And we showed that film like 3 days before that fire happened.
Yeah, the timing was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
And we had the director also fly in and actually do a Q&A with the audience here at Soglo.
He came right here.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
It was great. We also had a couple local, so that's the other thing too, right? We're just connecting everything. We had a couple local food vendors, and we had some Hawaiian pizza, kind of in theme a little bit. But it was a really great time, and we had a great turnout for that.
Wow. So the film festival, the dates, please.
October 11th and 12th.
Yes,
It's a Friday and Saturday.
Nice. And passes are on sale now, correct?
Yes, they are on sale. We might actually be extending our early bird passes just a little bit. Probably, I don't know when, but we'll
No
just be on the
promises.
lookout. Be on the lookout for that.
And that's for the weekend or 2 days?
For the 2
just
days,
2
yes.
days.
Yeah,
And,
so we-
and individual tickets will be available?
Yes,
for-
so we do have general admission tickets, day of tickets, of course. But our passes, we have the fork and screen, which is basically your general admission. You can choose between day 1 or day 2. That gets you access to the food trucks and a few screenings. Then we have the ports. Is it the green
Port
screen
City
pass?
Green
Is it
screen and
green,
the Port City.
the green screen pass, which includes the screenings. You get to choose between 1 or 2 panels, and of course between day 1 or day 2. Then we have the Port City Pass that has all of that included, and I can't remember what else that one has.
I think this might include the horror short.
I think it does include a horror shorts, yes. And the gala. That one includes the 1 ticket to the gala
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
And then we have, of course, the Golden Owls Experience Pass, which has everything included. You get admission for the gala, the screenings, all the screenings, the main screens as you can get in there.
And the super exclusive after party.
After party,
After party.
yes.
So I know usually we come up on an hour and we kind of wrap it up, but now I got like more questions.
Go for it.
That always happens, right?
That's a good thing.
Is it hard to get vendors, food trucks? Now, do you have to get like permits to where would the food trucks be? You have to do you have to work with the city to shut the roads down?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say my biggest thing is that I really would want to support the local community. Growing up in community, we have so much talent, food,
Oh my God, yeah.
Entertainment, everything.
Yeah.
From
Everything that we need. is
everything
here.
that we need is here, and I really would love to showcase that here.
It's been, I want to say, it's been surprising the response we've got from local businesses and vendors. I think people are really excited about, again, just the idea. It's something
Right, yeah.
completely new. So we've gotten a really great response. People are wanting to support any way they can. The tricky part is it's like we can't work with everyone. So
Right.
really figuring that part out.
Yeah. I can imagine there's pitfalls
Sure.
with everything, right?
But
Yeah.
I mean, the city has been great. The Brunswick DDA has been great. I think a lot of the infrastructure has been laid for what we need logistically. So we're not completely on our own in figuring
Right.
that out. But we've got like satellite images of Newcastle and like kind of
Where-
mock-ups of how we want to do
where
stuff.
everything's
So
gonna be,
yeah,
Right.
we
Wow.
thought of almost everything.
That's great. That's amazing because that's
Yeah.
that's always the first thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the logistical part. Like, what do you is there anything else going on that day that's going to
Right.
interfere with
Yeah.
downtown or because I've seen that happen before where someone's like, I'm going to do this, but then I'm like, don't you realize that this is going on that day? And they're
Yeah.
like,
In a different town.
right, or even in the same area.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to mention what it was, but we had to do this thing, and I'm like, do you know there's going to be music at one of these areas at the same time we're doing this, and that music's going to be louder than what we're doing? And they're like, we didn't realize. Like,
Yeah.
the logistical part to me is always the fun part.
And the other part, I just want to mention this because I think we also have a responsibility, to make sure that environmentally, like
Right.
we're considering everything. This area we're right on the water, and there's so many easy ways to not take care of the environment. So really all those considerations, logistics sometimes can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's almost a fun challenge for us to be able to solve for that because there's no version of us there's nothing that is going to come up and we're not doing this. So
Right.
every obstacle is just a new opportunity to learn something new
Right.
or meet someone else who can help us solve.
There's always a way.
Yeah.
So,
always.
right. When you want to do something, there's always always a way, and I'm grateful for you guys.
Our
for-
resilience has gone up like 1,000 points since we started
Yeah.
doing this.
Like I had another thought now, but I lost it. It'll come back to me.
Sorry.
No, you're go good.
I think one final question for me is: have you had a lot of local submissions?
We've had quite a few actually. And those films I have already screened, and I'm excited to see more. I would love to see more.
Yeah.
I don't know how many filmmakers we have here. I'm still getting to know a lot more. Not just filmmakers, so writers, directors, PAs, people who have had experience within the film industry, but. We want as many as we can get.
I think a lot of our local submissions have been from students as well. So we also have some stuff from our pop-ups where, there's opportunities for things that didn't get selected to maybe go in a future run, et cetera. So, the majority of our local stuff has come from college students, though.
And when is the submission deadline over, or is it still?
It's still on.
Open?
Still
yes,
on.
right now we're in a regular deadline until June the 3rd.
I think 3rd.
Yes.
And then when will they know if they've been selected?
We will. So at the end of July, we will close submissions, and then a month from there in August, mid-August, we'll let them know.
Okay. And then I guess my other thought. Sorry, this is like all like. So when you do have your submissions, like how do you figure out like who plays first, like what the show times and stuff like that? Is that based off of anything, or is it?
It is, yeah. So programming is inherently like logistical, right? I think so. I will say that our regular screenings are happening simultaneously, so we'll have a series of shorts and a feature at the same time. For folks who've never been to a festival, when you purchase your ticket or pass, you do have to select your viewings because obviously seating is limited, et cetera.
Right.
But in addition to that, there's just the I think that what's going on is a big piece of it. But without giving it away, I'm like, I think for most festivals that I've attended, the reality is that some of the decisions are made before the festival and they're kind of known. So some of that goes into it, how we're orchestrating things. Obviously, we're not going to choose our gala screening at random, right? So, but we do try to keep it as neutral as possible. We've also added in a people's choice element.
I was going to ask that.
Yes. So, the audience can have some sort of stake in that process, and there's a specific award for that. But, most people who are having to travel to a festival to accompany their screening, they do expect some sort of, recognition or know that they're probably in the top half of our submissions.
I guess one more question. I'm just you're answering these questions, and like I'm thinking,
giving you more.
Yeah, you're giving me more. That's my old law enforcement mindset. Now, you're going to have people traveling in. Are you working with local hotels to secure blocking?
We will be.
We will be. Yeah.
We want to partner with the CVB as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We may have to get together again before October because. As it gets closer.
Do a pre-festival episode?
Yes.
Yeah, a pre-festival episode. I don't know if we're going to, if our equipment or logistic gets upgraded, we may have to do be in the front and do like a press tour.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Like live commentating.
Like
from
live
the
commentary.
step
Yeah. As we get there. So that, we're hoping eventually to get there. Yeah. So, but I really appreciate your time here. This has been great. What's the website or Instagram, if people are interested in purchasing passes?
So it's www.goldenislesfilmfestival.org to purchase a pass, and our Instagram is at Golden Isles Film Fest.
Awesome.
And what is your Instagram?
At Golden Isles Film Fest.
At Golden Isles Film Fest.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe we also have a page for the Film Society.
We do.
Golden
yes.
Isles Film Society, and then you can find us on Facebook under Golden Isles Film Festival.
Yeah. Did you guys do a film last night?
We did.
We did.
Yeah. Yes.
We did a movie in the park. We partnered with the DDA and a bunch of great local food vendors. So we did a theatrical screening of 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
It was comedy. I think some of the stuff in the past has been really family friendly, so we wanted to diversify that. We had a really great turnout.
Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore.
Yes. Yeah. Hilarious. It was really great.
Awesome movie. That was a great movie. Yeah, I figured that you guys were connected, but I was like...
It was us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Are you going to have more of those future events with the Film Society?
Yes. With the Film Society, we want to have some community events, whether it be free, and then we're also opening up memberships too for VIP and pre-release screenings as well.
Now, will you be, I know you had it in the park, will you be working eventually in the future maybe with Soglo and Rich to have a more personal?
So we actually did have our first Golden Owls Film Society screening of the year here at Soglo.
Okay.
And similar to the format of our pop-up events, Soglo and the Ritz are both, venue sponsors for our organization. So we like to kind of keep them interchangeable. Last night was our first foray into the fork and screen format, where it was kind of outdoors. So I think as we expand, deciding what we're going to, give to our members only versus to our, open to the public, keeping it accessible, we'll probably have a kind of switch between the venues based on that.
Mm-hmm. Did you explain what the fork and screen was?
I don't know if I did.
No, I don't. I'm assuming it's like eat and watch.
Yeah, eat and watch something. So one thing that was, I was a little spoiled, up in Metro Atlanta, there's a lot of theaters where you've got like a full recliner, you push a button, it's like a whole restaurant, you can eat while you're in the movie theater. And I was like, how can we recreate that experience with these screenings? And I know the Ritz actually does something.
They do, yeah.
Something like that. So, but we wanted to encourage folks to patronize our local food vendors. And so that's why, that event was free to the public so they could, be encouraged to come get something to eat and watch the film. So Fork and Screen was just our little way of kind of recreating that, eat while you watch experience. And it's more than popcorn, it's more than snacks.
Right. Yeah. I've always envied people that can go to the movie theater and have that experience.
Push the button, order a steak, drink.
That sounds great, but I'd probably fall asleep.
Yes, that's a big problem.
Well, and and my thing is, I get easily distracted. So like if someone's bringing me my food and I'm like,
miss something.
I'm trying to watch the movie and like all of a sudden this person's like, and the other thing like with me, this is just my personal pet peeve is I don't like other background noises. So if I'm watching a movie and someone's making like background noise like that, like I completely takes me out of the experience. Like it's like shh.
Yes. And it's so funny that you say that because I think we accounted for that without thinking of it. We actually started the event a half hour before, so most people got their food and then kind of got settled in. And it was cool because our vendors got to watch the film too.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really excited. I'm excited for you guys for doing this, for bringing the attention that the Golden Owls deserves, especially with the film industry. I'm not saying that the Golden Owls has been missing out, but I feel in a way like it's been missing out. And I'm excited for this. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing to bring attention with the film festival and hopefully to, film studios, independent, major, of the beauty that we have here in the Golden Owls to really showcase it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out, and like you said, we're excited. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming up with this. It took you, Pryce, to kind of come up with.
Shout out to Pryce. He's the man with the vision.
But Brunswick right now is primed to have something like this. We're ready for it.
Yeah.
Really, what it is. I mean, 8 years ago, we were not ready for this. We are ready for it now, and I think the timing's right, and we're all excited. We've been talking about it in our house since we first heard about it last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's going to bring in a lot, and hopefully we'll bring in a lot of people outside of Brunswick because they can see what we see, and it'll attract some studio, bring some more work into Brunswick as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we can find someone to start a drive-in movie theater.
I know, I can't wait.
But thanks for your time today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
I know you guys got a lot
Thanks
to
for
do.
your support.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you guys on again.
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome.
On May 8th at 5:30, we are having our Friends of Film happy hour. So we shouted out the Lucas Center earlier. We like to steal like artists. So we'll be doing a happy hour once a month where we'll have a featured speaker, someone from, the broader film industry in Georgia to talk about ways that business owners and other people can get involved. So this event is more directed kind of to the business side, may not be as exciting for the community, but local business owners across various industries. It's more than marketing opportunities as well. Definitely feel free to come out. This month we'll be at Newcastle Wine Merchant.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah. We had him on our podcast not too long ago. So,
love Brandon.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Don't get me started and talking more.
Like, right.
We'll be here for another hour and a half. The batteries on the Zoom Pod Track 4 would run out.
So no, that's great though. So you get the business side of it. I might be interested in doing that.
Yeah, you guys come on out.
Just because I'm
come have a glass of wine with us.
He's got the law enforcement background. I'm the accounting and finance background.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, I know we're running out of time, but that's kind of what, I spent so much of my time doing law enforcement that I'm like my passion now is into theater, and then as I get older, I'm like, oh, am I too old for this?
No,
but you're never too old for it.
No.
No.
I was a theater kid, and like you said, it translates. It's all creativity, it's all art.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place for every piece of it.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Pryce,
Thanks
AJ,
for having
thank
us.
you so much. So this is the Beard signing off.
Yeah, this is Buddha.
This is AJ and Pryce.
Yeah, AJ and Pryce. Yes.
Thank you so much. I
Thanks.
really appreciate your time.
Bye.